Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about Pokemon the card game, the monster portions. These are these little guys that you will be placing on the field. Now I'm going to be showing you some of my favorites from my deck, but I know everybody has their own. So first thing about Pokemon, what are the Pokemon monsters? Monsters are these little creatures that in the video game you capture by Pokeball, and you use them to battle other Pokemon. Unless you're Team Rocket, then there's other reasons to use them. Now, in the card game, these are going to be the creatures that you can use to battle your opponent. Now, as you can see on mine are in this thing that is called a sleeve. When you play Pokemon the card game, you don't have to have a sleeve, but if you plan to play a tournament or play these a lot, I do suggest them as they do give a protection, and if you got some older cards, they might have markings on them somewhere, and judges don't like those. So, they are not required, but suggested for protection. Okay, first part up on a Pokemon is it's up in the corner, and that is its hit points. If you don't see it on this card, don't worry, I'm going to have another one right over here, so you'll be able to see a little bit more. And I'll take it out of the sleeve so we can get rid of the glare. Now, on the card, the hit points is how much damage it can take before it is considered knocked out or removed from play. Once its hit points hit 0 or less, you're going to have to pick up the card and all other cards underneath it, which are like energies, items, or anything like that, and put them into your discard pile, which is the pile next to your deck. Next up on them, some of them have what is called an ability. An ability is usually like right below the picture, and it'll say something like once during a battle or before a certain event during a game, this Pokemon can do something. For Ditto here, it has Almighty Evolution, and it can be any Pokemon that is needed to evolve to something else. We'll go over Evolution here in a little bit later in the video. Now, the next important part is its moves, the things that it can do. Each one has usually a energy type or an amount of those energies that is required for it to do the attack. This one is Nidorino. Nidorino needs one white or neutral colored color to perform Peck. Neutral can mean any color. If it looks like a big spiky star in the middle surrounded by white, that is neutral, and you can use any color to make that thing work. Now, you can only attack once per round. So once you attack, that's it, your turn ends. So make sure you're thinking ahead before you attack. His next ability is a purple, which is psychic, and then 2 white neutrals. So that means I have to have 1 psychic and 2 of any other. That can be 3 psychics, a psychic, electric, and water, or any combination of that, as long as it has at least 1 psychic and 2 of any other type, and then it can use Horn Drill. Now, some of their actions, like Nidoking's Drag Off, has an ability underneath of it. This one states, if I use it by making sure there is 2 any colors attached to him, I can switch one of my opponent's benched Pokemon with their active Pokemon, and then it deals an additional 50 damage. Below that is King's Drum. King's Drum costs me 1 psychic and 2 of any other color, and does 100 plus damage. That plus means there's usually something else that will happen. For Nidoking is if I have another Nidoqueen on my bench, then it knocks an addition or adds an additional 100 more damage. So this attack will do 200. But you have to have energy attached to your Pokemon for them to work, and they do have to be of a specific color if the card states it. Now, I do have a couple energies right here. So I have a psychic and 2 energies attached to my Nidoking. When you play a energy, which you can only do 1 per turn, You cannot put as many as you want on your Pokemon. You can only put one per turn, and that's it. Even if you have 5 Pokemon and a handful of energy, you can only play one per turn, and then you'll have to wait until the next turn to play another. So there's a lot of strategy in this. Now, let's just say some turns have passed, and I have this attached to my Nidoking. Nidoking can now do any of the moves on here because his first one just costs 2 of any white, any kind, and double colorless counts as 2 of any white. Now let's say we don't have this attached, and I just have a bunch of Psychic. So all 3 of these are attached to him. He can still do those moves because Psychic is a requirement for King's Drum, and then 2 of any kind, so which makes 3. Now, the next thing we're going to be talking about is, on the Pokemon card, is weaknesses. Weakness means if another Pokemon of that type, so for Nidoking, Psychic, which he is a Psychic, so if 2 Nidokings go at each other, the weakness is going to apply. Now, the weakness says that any damage it receives, damage, not add counters or anything else, just damage, is doubled. So let's say I use King Drum without a Nidoqueen on the bench. I am going to deal 100 times 2, which ends up becoming 200. So he has 160, so 160 minus 200 makes us negative 40 hit points, which means my Nidoking gets knocked out. Next up is Retreat. Retreat means I have to take that many energy off of him, put it in the discard pile, to let him go back to my bench so I can play another Pokemon card. So if I have 3 Psychic attached to Nidoking, then to make him retreat, because I could be afraid he's going to get knocked out, or I have a really good card that I want to play onto the active Pokemon field, I have to remove those 3, put him on my discard pile, move him to the bench, and then play another Pokemon out. If there are no other Pokemon on the bench, then Nidoking cannot retreat. If you do not have 3 energy, he cannot retreat. Now, there are cards out there that will say reduce the retreat cost or something like that, or add to the retreat cost, and you'll have to change the amount that you add or remove to let him retreat. All right, up next is evolution. How does evolution work in the Pokemon the card game? We know in the video game, if you get to a certain level, the Pokemon evolves, and we get a new Pokemon. Well, there's no levels per se in Pokemon the card game that lets you evolve, but what there is Pokemon come in what is called stages. First stage is called Basic. A basic Pokemon is the farthest it can go, and this is the only card you are allowed to play as your active Pokemon or on the bench. So if you do not have a basic, you're not going to be able to put the card down. So my basic is Nidoran, and if I put down Nidoran, then it evolves into Nidorino. Nidorino will show a picture up here and also in words on what Pokemon needs to be able to evolve into Nidorino. Nidorino can evolve from a Nidoran. Now there's other Pokemons out there that will do the same. I have Azora, and Azora can evolve into Zoraka. However, this is how evolution works. Once you play the Pokemon card down on your bench or active Pokemon, you have to wait 1 full turn until you can evolve. So let's say it's turn 1. That is my active Pokemon, Nidoran. I play him, and then I place Nidorino on. If it has not been a full turn, I can't play that, and I have to wait. Now, let's say my next turn has come around. I can now play Nidorino. He evolves into a stage 1. Well, I also have a Nidoking in my hand, but you can only evolve a Pokemon once per turn. So now I have to wait an additional turn, and then I can play Nidoking. So it could take up to 3 turns to be able to start evolving to the max level. There's one more card, I don't currently have it, and it's called a break card. Break cards allow you to evolve even further. And break cards, however, we're going to pretend this is a break card. They will go on top of the picture, and you get the ability that it has plus all the rest, and new hit points and everything. Now, a little bit about GXs and EXs. GXs and EXs, some are actually basics. There are cards out there that's like, hey, this is a basic Nidoking. And it's like, but Nidoking evolves. Well, some actually say just basic. As long as it says basic up there, you can play it. Zoraka GX, however, is one that needs Zorora to evolve from. So I'll play him, wait a turn, and play that one, and now I have a powerful card that can do other special things. GXs have special abilities on them. Like his is Trickster GX that lets him steal another Pokemon's ability and use it against them. But GX abilities are usually very powerful, and you can only use them once per game. And even if you have a deck of 50 GXs in them, if you even use one of those GXs, nobody else in your deck can use a GX. So, strategy. Now we come to the rule of 4. In Pokemon, you can have, except for basic energy, only 4 of a very specific card by its name. So, for this one, I have Nidoking. If all it has is the word Nidoking, I can only have 4 of these in my deck. Even if the pictures are different, I can only have 4. However, Zoroark, his name's right there, and Zoroark GX. These are technically 2 different names. So I can have 4 Zoroark GXs and 4 Zoroark regulars. Now, there are Pokemon that have what is called a prism. They will be called, they will be like a diamond, or it'll just state on the card prism. And they only are allowed 1 in your deck because they are rather powerful, especially Ditto. Ditto can be any Pokemon's basic form. So if I want to evolve into a Zoraka, but I don't have a Zora, Ditto can be that Pokemon card. So now back to how do Pokemon battle in the card game. Well, at the start of your turn, after you've placed down your basic Pokemon for your active one, you'll be going up against their basic Pokemon. So if it's your turn and you have the energy attacked, all you have to say is, I'm using its peck attack. And you peck. Now, I'm going to check Ditto. Does Ditto have any weaknesses? It does. It has a weakness towards fighting. Nidoran's not a fighter, so weaknesses do not apply. And I deal 10 damage to Ditto. So Ditto goes from a 40 down to a 30. Then it becomes Ditto's turn. And if Ditto can't attack, or you can't play any cards because he has some special effect on him, then you just end up passing your turn after you've played all your other cards. So that's all I have right now for Pokemon, the monster section. Hopefully you learned a little bit about this and how to play your monsters, what you need to do. Maybe come up with some strategies on the type of monsters you want to use. One last thing before I go. When you build a deck, and we will go over deck building in the future, but for this one, when you decide to pick your monsters, try to limit yourself to 2 colors only. For me, in my deck is dark energy types and psychic energy types. So I do have like a neutral in there. So neutrals can be any color, can work on them, but try to limit to 2. If you're just starting out, make it 1. It's a lot easier starting out if you only have 1 to worry about. Well, until next time, if you have any other questions or anything like that about Pokemon monsters or what you would like to see next, just go ahead and down in the comments to let me know what you want to see, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.